Hello, Jeremy. It's nice to see you here at WordCamp Europe. And it's my pleasure to know more about you and about your multi-site work. Can you please tell us how did you get involved in it?
How I got involved in multi-site
How you got
specifically?
involved, right?
Yeah. So I don't know if I remember the exact moment, but I had worked with WordPress for a couple of years, and then I was working with 10up at the time. And we had a client project that required kind of a multi-site setup. And then there were a few clients where we did kind of discovery and helped them figure out how it was going to work. So I think I got more and more interested in what multi-site is. Mm-hmm. And then when I got hired at Washington State University, that was specifically to build out a CMS for hundreds and thousands of sites. And then multi-site was the obvious choice for that. And then part of my job with Washington State University was contributing back to core a lot of the things that we found or the issues we were running into. So yeah, that kind of launched me into figuring everything out or trying.
Was it your suggestion, was it your idea to build multi-site network for Washington DC, or they already knew what they want?
They knew they wanted WordPress, and that's it. So,
but they didn't know that they want multi-site.
Right. So that was one of the first things I had to do when I came in. Is I sat down and thought through, can we do this with just single sites, multi-tenant sites or something, or is it something that we need multi-site for? I went back and forth a little bit, but it became kind of pretty obvious that multi-site was the right choice.
Mm-hmm. And why it was the right choice? Or what were the reasons to choose it?
So the big reason, it's kind of easy to say this in hindsight, but I think performance was a really big reason.
Right.
So instead of needing virtual machines for each site or trying to run all of these different sites on one thing with the same code base kind of being loaded into memory multiple times, we're able to have one set of code that's loaded into PHP's kind of op cache once, and so that every site uses that same PHP code. And then the database, we're able to optimize that with its thousands of tables rather than trying to manage thousands of databases. So it becomes, well, and especially from a university perspective, finding one piece, like one server, and dealing with that is a lot easier than trying to say, can I please have another server? Can I please have another server?
How many sites in network right now?
We have 60 networks, I think.
So it's multi-site of 60 networks?
Right.
And
then I think 2,000 sites.
2,000 sites.
So not that many. No.
Oh, really?
Well, there's other universities that have done a great job over the last. They've been using multi-site for a long time, and we don't have registration open for like students or staff to be able to set up their own site automatically. But places like University of British Columbia, ECU in Virginia. I'm gonna get this wrong. I think Penn State have kind of these places where students can go and sign up for sites, and then they have 60,000 sites in their blog, or 80,000 sites in their multi-site setup.
Right. And how many people are administrating the system?
We have we have 2 WordPress developers, me and somebody else, and then a handful of other people that have kind of the super global admin access that can go in and create sites. When we set up the 60 networks, each of those networks has its own network admin.
So, it's for faculties?
Yeah, for faculty, for staff, for any kind of use you can imagine at the university. But when you're a network admin, you can also create new sites, so you don't have to come to me and say, hey, can you set up this?
Right.
Yeah.
Were there any obstacles that you predicted or not that came out during the development?
Right. I don't know if I predicted any obstacles. I think I guess I assumed there would be obstacles. And then the good thing is that we put a timeline together when I first started that didn't try to rush it. It didn't try to say we're going to start with this many sites in 2 months it said we're going to take a full year to build this out and try to solve some of the things we need to solve in order to get it to go. So the obstacles came up, but then I think we kind of tackled them as we could.
On the flow.
Right. As they went.
I see. And what was the most important improvement? How do you feel to the core, to the multi-site system from your experience?
Whew. It's been a long time. Let me see if I can.
And a lot of improvements, right?
It's been a lot of improvements. I think one of the things from a developer standpoint that we've made much better is the bootstrap process of multi-site in general.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel about using multi-site for other universities? Is it a good idea? Should it be used for other universities as well? Or it's like, depends?
Right. Well, so I think it depends on the use case, but I think it is a good use case for that kind of central solution where a university might need to power their homepage and different department sites, and college sites, and even student portfolios and kind of faculty sites. So it's good there, especially if you have people devoted to it that can kind of maintain it and take care of it over time. I don't think there's anything wrong with using single site for the same things if that's how your university is set up. So it kind of probably depends on the types of people that you have working there, who's interested in getting more involved with how WordPress works, and then how you get your servers and how who's going to be managing.
Mm-hmm. And speaking about the people, what you can say about user experience for non-technical stuff? Mm-hmm. How it feels like?
For non-technical users,
right.
Multisite doesn't feel too good. So the lucky part is not much changes for people who are using it day to day. So the site admin is exactly the same.
Exactly the same
right.
as at WordPress.
Right.
So
the hard part is, so we have the 60 networks, and
right.
then we have the network admins. So I guess the best example is when somebody goes to add a new user. Since the users are global users and not users per network or users per site, then they have the horrible option of selecting add existing user, add new user, but there's nothing that helps them figure out if it's an existing or a new user. So
about user experience,
yep.
User experience, there are some problems, but they're like much more, not problems, but they're points to roadmap to improve multi-site to the next level.
Yeah, so I think things like the REST API, so the user's endpoint there and the sites and the network's endpoints, once we get all of that kind of in place, it's going to then we'll have a good framework to rebuild the user interface a little bit better. Mm-hmm. And then hopefully by then use some of the lessons from Gutenberg to see if we can do kind of a more blocked experience to the admin. So I think we'll see in WordPress how that starts to change the whole thing.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Absolutely. Thank you.
It was very interesting because it was my pleasure to meet you here at WordCamp Europe.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.